She was the youngest on the battlefield, yet the opposition called her commander first #. Part 1. The youngest voice, the canyon walls rose like prison bars against the orange sky of New Meridian. Maya Chen crouched behind a broken transport vehicle, her hands shaking as she checked her communication device for the third time in as many minutes. Around her, soldiers from half a dozen species scrambled for cover as enemy fire rained down from the cliffs above. She was 19 years old. The youngest person on this battlefield by nearly a decade.
"Ow, units! Hold your positions!"
Commander Vritha's voice crackled through the Comm system. The Varaxi officer sounded confident. His leonine features probably set in that calm expression that had earned him respect across 3 star systems. They cannot maintain this barrage forever. We wait them out. Maya bit her lip. She wanted to believe him. Commander Vareth had 40 years of military experience. The other senior officers, Captain Rodriguez, Colonel Sethrick, Commander Tlana, they all had decades of combat knowledge. They knew what they were doing, except they were wrong. Maya had been studying the enemy positions for the past 20 minutes. The Scarix Dominion forces had them completely surrounded. Their artillery wasn't designed for sustained bombardment. It was designed for precise, devastating strikes. They were not trying to wear down the coalition forces. They were hurting them. "Permission to speak, Commander?" Maya said into her headset, her voice barely steady. "Not now, Specialist Chen," Vareth replied. "Maintain communication readiness." That was her job. Communication specialist. She was supposed to relay messages, keep channels clear, and make sure everyone could talk to each other. She was not supposed to question military strategy designed by officers who had been fighting wars before she was born, but she could see what they could not. The Scarix were pushing the coalition forces deeper into the canyon, away from the 3 possible escape routes. In another 10 minutes, maybe 15, they would have everyone exactly where they wanted them. Then the real bombardment would begin. The kind that turned rock walls into avalanches and soldiers into memories. Maya pulled up the tactical display on her datapad. Her fingers moved quickly, marking enemy positions, trajectories, and the slowly closing trap. The unstable rock formations to the east, everyone had been told to avoid them because they might collapse. But that was the point, was not it? If they were going to collapse anyway, when the Scarix brought down the canyon walls, why not use that instability as a weapon? Another explosion rocked the ground. Closer this time. "Commander, they are adjusting fire." That was Lieutenant Cross, one of the Kelthan soldiers. His crystalline form glittered even in the dust and smoke. "Request permission to return fire?" "Negative," Wrath responded. "Conserve ammunition. We need to outlast them." Maya closed her eyes. They were going to die here. All of them. Because everyone was following the rules, respecting the hierarchy, trusting experience over observation. Then the world exploded. The command post took a direct hit. The blast wave threw Maya against the transport vehicle, driving the air from her lungs. Her ears rang. Her vision blurred. But even through the chaos, she could see the truth written in fire and smoke. The senior officers were gone. "Command, respond." Someone was shouting on the general channel. "Anyone? Respond?" Maya pushed herself up. Her body hurt. Her head felt like it was full of static. But her hands found her Comm device, and somehow her voice still worked. "All units, this is Specialist Chen at Communications." She was surprised by how steady she sounded. "Command is hit. We need to move now. Everyone, listen carefully." "Who authorized you to?" Someone started to object. "We have 5 minutes before they bring down the canyon walls." Maya cut them off. Her voice was not loud, but something in it made people listen. Maybe it was certainty. Maybe it was just that nobody else was talking. "The Eastern Passage, the unstable formations, we can use them. 3rd and 5th squads, I need you to lay down suppressing fire on coordinates I am sending now. 1st and 2nd squads, prepare to move on my signal. 4th squad, you are rear guard. The Eastern Passage will collapse." That was Sergeant Drath, a Vraxi veteran. "Yes," Maya said simply. "After we are through it, and it will take half the Scarix artillery positions with it. I am sending you the trajectory data now." Her fingers flew across her datapad. She transmitted firing solutions, movement paths, timing sequences. It was insane. It violated every standard tactical doctrine. It relied on split-second timing and unstable geology and 1,000 things that could go wrong. But it was better than waiting to die. Who put a youngling in command? Someone muttered, "Does it matter?" That was Corporal Hayes, human like Maya, only 8 years older, but a lifetime more experienced. She has a plan. Command is dead. Anyone got a better idea? Silence on the Comm. 3rd and 5th squads ready, someone reported. 1st and 2nd squads ready to move, came another voice. Rear guard in position, Sergeant Drath growled. He still sounded doubtful, but he was following orders. Maya took a breath. Her whole body was shaking now, but not from fear. From the weight of what she was doing, 247 lives. That was how many soldiers were in this canyon. That was how many people were trusting a 19-year-old communications specialist to save them. On my mark, she said. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The canyon erupted with weapons fire. 3rd and 5th squads opened up on the Scarix positions, exactly where Maya had calculated their ammunition stores would be most vulnerable. The enemy formations reacted exactly as she had predicted, shifting to counter the threat. 1st and 2nd squads, move now. Eastern Passage, double time. Soldiers ran. Some stumbled. Some helped others. They poured toward the unstable rock formations like water finding a crack. The Scarix saw them moving. Their artillery adjusted, trying to cut off the escape. But Maya had timed it perfectly. The enemy fire hit the unstable formations just as the last coalition soldiers cleared the passage. The rock face came down like the hammer of an angry god. Tons of stone cascaded into the canyon, crushing 3 Scarix artillery positions and blocking their line of fire. The coalition forces kept running, Maya coordinating their movement from her position. Her voice calm and clear even as the world fell apart around them. They made it out. Not everyone. Maya would learn later that they had lost 43 soldiers in the retreat. But 204 lived. 204 soldiers who should have died, who would have died, if someone had not spoken up. As the survivors regrouped 3 kilometers from the canyon, Maya finally allowed herself to sit down. Her legs would not hold her anymore. Corporal Hayes dropped down next to her, offering a canteen. "You saved us, kid," he said quietly. Maya did not know what to say to that. She had just done what needed doing. Anyone could have seen it, could have spoken up, but nobody had. Only her, in the Scarix Command Center, War Prime Kethros reviewed the battle reports with narrowed eyes. His intelligence officer stood at attention, waiting. The enemy commander Kethros said slowly, "The one who orchestrated this retreat. I want all data on them, immediately." "Yes, War Prime." "Our analysis suggests—" "I do not want analysis. I want facts." That was not standard coalition tactics. That was something else. Someone else. Kethros tapped his clawed finger on the display, showing the collapsed canyon. Someone who thinks like a warrior. Find them, the intelligence officer hesitated. War Prime preliminary communication intercepts suggest the orders came from a communications specialist. Low rank. The command structure was disrupted. Kethros was silent for a long moment. Then he smiled, showing far too many teeth. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. He made a note in his personal log. Asterisk, enemy commander identity, unknown. Unconventional tactics. High adaptability. Consider primary threat. Asterisk, the war had just gotten much more complicated. She was the youngest on the battlefield, yet the opposition called her commander first hash part 2. Respect by any other name, though. Coalition forces were scattered across 12 square kilometers of rocky terrain. Maya sat in what passed for a command tentrily, just a tarp stretched between two broken trees, and tried to make sense of the chaos. Her datapad showed blinking.
Nice.
Dots representing every squad. Every soldier who had survived the canyon. Some groups were only 3 or 4 people. Others had managed to stay together in units of 20 or more. All of them were checking in with her. Not with the surviving senior officers, though Captain Rodriguez had made it out alive, along with a handful of lieutenants and sergeants. They were busy treating wounded and securing a perimeter. Nobody had officially put Maya in command. It had just ... happened. Specialist Chen 3rd Squad reporting. The voice in her headset belonged to a Kelthan soldier named Prilix. We have found a water source. Sending coordinates. Good work, 3rd Squad. Share those coordinates with all units within 5 kilometers. Maya marked the location on her map. Water was critical. They had lost most of their supplies in the retreat. Chen, this is 7th Squad. That was Corporal Hayes. We have got eyes on a Scarix patrol. For scouts, looks like they have not seen us yet. Engage or avoid? Maya pulled up the tactical map. The Scarix patrol was moving in a search pattern. If they continued on their current path, they would find the Coalition's temporary camp in about 2 hours. Avoid if possible, Maya said after a moment. But if they change course toward the camp, you are authorized to neutralize. Silent takedown only. We do not want to alert their main force to our position. Understood. 7th out. This was not supposed to be her job. She was a communications specialist. She was supposed to connect people, not tell them what to do. But every time she tried to defer to someone more senior, the soldiers would just look uncomfortable and wait for her to make the decision anyway. Specialist Chen. Captain Rodriguez ducked into the tent. He was a stocky man in his early 40s, with the kind of weathered face that came from 20 years in the service. He had a bandage wrapped around his left arm, and his uniform was torn, but his eyes were clear and sharp. We need to talk. Maya stood up quickly. Sir, I was just coordinating. I know what you were doing. Rodriguez sat down heavily on an ammunition crate. That is what we need to talk about. You have been giving orders for the past 6 hours. I'm sorry, sir. I did not mean to overstep. It was just that nobody else was. Nobody else was thinking clearly enough to do it, Rodriguez finished. Myself included. You saved 200 lives today, Chen. You think I am angry about that? Maya did not know what to say. Rodriguez rubbed his face with his good hand. I have been in the military for 22 years. I have served with a dozen species, fought in 4 major campaigns, and I've never seen anything like what you did in that canyon. It should not have worked, but it did, sir. But it did. He looked at her with an expression she could not quite read. The problem is, we are still in deep trouble. The Scarix have 3 divisions in this sector. We are cut off from reinforcements, and Coalition High Command will not be able to re-establish contact for at least another 48 hours. Someone needs to lead these soldiers until then. You should do it, sir. You are the ranking officer, Rodriguez agreed. That is protocol. That is how the chain of command works. But Chen, those soldiers out there, they are not listening to protocol right now. They are listening to the person who saved their lives. They are listening to you. Maya felt her chest tighten. I do not know what I am doing, sir. None of us do, really. Rodriguez smiled slightly. We just get better at pretending. Look, I am not asking you to take command officially. I am asking you to keep doing what you have been doing. Coordinate the units. Make the tactical decisions. I will handle the wounded supplies, the stuff I am actually good at. But the soldiers trust you. Do not take that away from them. Before Maya could respond, her Comm device blinked with an incoming message. She glanced at it, frowned, and then looked again. Sir, We are getting an encrypted transmission. Scarix military frequency. Rodriguez was on his feet immediately. A trap. I do not think so. It is using coalition encryption protocols. Like they want us to know they are contacting us deliberately. Maya worked the decryption. Sir, you should see this. She turned the datapad so Rodriguez could read. His eyes went wide. The message was simple. To the coalition commander who orchestrated the canyon retreat. War Prime Kethros wishes to speak with you under flag of truce. Respond if you have the authority to negotiate. I think you are in command, Rodriguez said slowly. Maya shook her head. That does not make sense. Their intelligence must know the command structure was disrupted. They would know I am just a specialist. Maybe they do know. Maybe they do not care. Rodriguez read the message again. The Scarix respect strength, tactical ability. Age and rank mean everything to them. Their war primes earn their position through decades of service. If Kethros is willing to negotiate with someone he thinks is the coalition commander, regardless of what his intelligence says about rank, he's acknowledging tactical ability over formal position, Maya finished. She felt something cold settle in her stomach. Sir, what do we do? Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled, and it was the saddest smile Maya had ever seen. We tell him yes, Rodriguez said, and you get ready to meet with a war prime. In the Scarix command center, Kethros reviewed the intelligence reports for the third time. His second-in-command, Strike Leader Vorel, stood nearby with an expression of barely concealed confusion. War Prime, are you certain about this? Vorel asked. The human who gave those orders, she is not even an officer. She is 19 standard years old. By our standards, she would barely be out of basic training. By our standards, Kethros agreed. But we are not fighting ourselves, Vorel. We are fighting humans and their allies. And this human, this specialist Maya Chen. He tapped the data file. She saw our trap. Not only saw it, but turned it against us. We lost 3 artillery positions and an entire forward observation post. More importantly, she saved 200 enemy soldiers who should have died. An error in our intelligence? No. Kethros cut him off. Our intelligence was perfect. Our tactics were sound. But she did not fight the way we expected. She used terrain instability as a weapon. She sacrificed optimal positioning for speed. She made 50 decisions in 5 minutes that should have required an hour of command staff consultation. He looked at Vorel directly. Tell me, Strike Leader, if I were killed in battle and you took command, could you have countered what she did? Vorel hesitated. Then, grudgingly, no, War Prime. I would have followed standard doctrine. I would have held position in the canyon as you ordered. And you would have been crushed when I brought down the walls. Exactly as planned. Kethros stood up, his massive frame casting shadows in the dim light. This human is dangerous. Not because she is strong, but because she thinks differently than we do. She does not respect the rules we follow, and that makes her either a fool or a genius. You believe she is the latter. I know she is the latter. Because fools do not save 200 lives with 5 minutes of planning. Kethros opened a secure channel. I want to meet her. I want to understand how humans create such commanders from younglings barely old enough to fight. If we do not understand this, we will lose this war. You sound as if you respect her, War Prime. Tethros considered that, in his culture, respect was earned through age, through decades of service, through slowly climbing the ranks and proving worthiness at every level. The idea that someone barely past childhood could command veteran soldiers should have been absurd. But he had seen the tactical recordings. He had analyzed every decision she made, and he recognized something he rarely saw in his own officers after all their years of service: pure, undiluted competence. I do not know if I respect her, Kethros said finally, but I acknowledge her. And in battle, that is more important. He sent the message himself, bypassing his communication officers. It was irregular, but then everything about this situation was irregular. To the coalition commander, he dictated, I am War Prime Kethros. You have proven yourself a worthy opponent. One propose a meeting under flag of truce 3 days from now at the old surveyor station in Sector 4. Come alone, or with minimal guard. I give you my word as War Prime that no harm will come to you during negotiation. I wish only to speak with the mind that saved so many lives in the canyon. Respond if you accept. He sent it and waited. The response came 20 minutes later. Brief, professional, almost amused. War Prime Kethros, this is Specialist Maya Chen. I accept your invitation. I will bring one guard. I look forward to understanding why you wish to speak with a communications specialist. See you in 3 days. Kethros read it twice. Then he started laughing. War Prime. Vorel looked confused. She signs her own rank, Kethros explained, still chuckling. She wants me to know she is not really a commander, but she comes anyway. Yes, Vorel, I definitely respect her. She was the youngest on the battlefield, yet the opposition called her commander first. Part 3. The Weight of Stars. The old surveyor station sat on neutral ground. A relic from before the war, when New Meridian was just a colony project and everyone got along. Maya approached it with Captain Rodriguez at her side, both of them unarmed, as the truce required. You do not have to do this, Rodriguez said quietly. I can still go instead. He asked for me, sir. And besides, Maya looked at the Scarix warriors waiting outside the station. There were 6 of them, each nearly 7 feet tall, with armored scales and weapons that could cut a person in half. If he wanted to kill me, he would not need to lure me into a meeting. Comforting thought. They reached the entrance. The Scarix guards stood aside without a word, but their eyes tracked every movement. Maya tried not to think about how small she felt next to them. She was 5'4" on a good day. These warriors made her feel like a child. Inside, War Prime Kethros waited at a table. He was even larger than his guards, with silver-gray scales that marked him as one of the eldest of his kind. His eyes, though, they were sharp and intelligent, studying Maya like she was a puzzle he needed to solve. Specialist Chen. He gestured to a chair across from him. His voice was surprisingly gentle for someone who looked like he could break stone with his bare hands. Please sit. Captain Rodriguez, you may wait outside if you prefer, or stay. Your choice. I will stay if Chen wants me here. Maya nodded and sat down. The chair was built for someone Kethros's size, so her feet barely touched the ground. She tried not to let that make her feel even smaller than she already did, Cam Kethros said. I admit I was not certain you would. Your superiors must have objected. They did, Maya admitted. But you asked for me specifically. It seemed rude to refuse. Kethros's mouth twitched in what might have been a smile. Polite, even in war. Very human of you. He leaned forward slightly. I will be direct, specialist. I did not ask you here to negotiate surrender or discuss territory. I asked you here because I need to understand something that makes no sense to me. What is that, War Prime? How you exist. He tapped a datapad, and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed the canyon battle from the Scarix perspective. You are 19 years old. In my culture, you would not be allowed on a battlefield yet, much less giving orders. You have no command training, no formal military education beyond basic communications. Yet you saved 200 lives with tactics my own officers did not predict. How is this possible? Maya was not sure how to answer that. I saw what needed to be done. Yes, you saw. Kethros replayed the moment when the canyon exploded. My officers studied this terrain for 3 days. They calculated firing patterns, structural weaknesses, optimal trap positioning. They did not see what you saw in 5 minutes. Why? Maybe because they were thinking like soldiers, Maya said slowly. Following rules, using standard tactics. I did not know the rules well enough to follow them. I just looked at the situation and thought about what would work. Ignorance as advantage. Kethros seemed to find this idea fascinating. In my culture, this would be shameful. Young warriors spend years learning from elders, studying doctrine, proving themselves through small tasks before being trusted with large ones. The idea that someone with no experience could make better decisions than trained commanders? He shook his head. It should be impossible. But it happened. But it happened, Kethros agreed. And now, I must decide what this means for the war. You see, Specialist Chen, I invaded your territory because our intelligence suggested it was poorly defended. Easy conquest. But you have shown me something I did not expect. Humans can produce tactical brilliance from the youngest and least experienced among you. If one 19-year-old specialist can defeat my battle plans, what can your actual commanders do? Maya felt her throat go dry. War Prime, I am not typical. Most humans my age are not commanding anything, but you could be trained. Yes? Others like you could be found and developed. Kethros watched her face. This is what concerns me. Scaric's military power comes from discipline, from the accumulated wisdom of centuries. But if humans can create commanders like you in less than 20 years, ... he let the implication hang. You are wondering if you can win this war, Maya said quietly. I am wondering if I should try. Kethros deactivated the hologram. Which brings me to why I truly asked you here. I want to propose something unusual. A single battle, you and I, our forces against each other. Winner takes the disputed territories. Loser withdraws completely. Rodriguez stepped forward. That is insane. We are outnumbered 3-1, as Kethros acknowledged. But Specialist Chen has already proven that numbers alone do not determine victory. And I will give you 1 week to prepare. Full truce until then. Time to gather your scattered forces, resupply, plan your strategy. He looked at Maya. I want to face you when you are at your best, not when you are running on luck and desperation. I want to know definitively whether my forces can defeat human tactical thinking. And if we refuse, Maya asked, then the war continues, as it has been. Slow, grinding, costly for both sides. Many more will die on both sides over many months or years. Kethros spread his hands. I am offering you a chance to end this quickly. One battle. Decisive. Final. Maya looked at Rodriguez. The captain's face was unreadable, but she could see the calculation in his eyes. They were in bad shape. Scattered forces, low supplies, cut off from reinforcements. A prolonged war would be brutal, but one battle, with time to prepare, with the full weight of coalition forces gathered together, that was different. I need to consult with Coalition Command, Maya said. I do not have authority to agree to this, of course. Kethros stood. You have 1 day to decide. If you agree, meet me here tomorrow at the same time with your answer. If you do not come, I will understand that as refusal, and we will resume normal warfare. He walked to the door, then paused. Specialist Chen, one more thing. In Scaric's culture, we have a tradition. When a warrior proves themselves worthy, even an enemy, we acknowledge them with a formal salute. It is reserved for those who have earned our respect. Kethros turned and placed his fist over his chest, bowing his head slightly. His guards immediately did the same. Maya stood there, stunned. As 6 Scaric's warriors showed her a respect they typically reserved for their own commanders. You saved lives in the canyon, Kethros said. Enemy lives, yes, but lives nonetheless. That takes skill most commanders never develop. You are young, inexperienced, and technically not even an officer. But you are a commander where it matters in mind and deed. I acknowledge this. Then he was gone, his guards following. Rodriguez let out a breath he had been holding. Chen, do you understand what just happened? A war prime just saluted you. That does not happen. Ever. Maya sat back down because her legs suddenly felt weak. Sir, what do I do? This is too big. I should not be making these decisions. You are right. You should not. Rodriguez sat beside her. But you are the one he will fight. He made that clear. If we agree to this battle, he wants to face you specifically. That is crazy. I am nobody. No, Rodriguez said gently. You are somebody who saved 200 lives and earned the respect of an enemy commander. That is not nobody, Chen. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Maya said, Do you think we can win? I think if anyone can figure out how, it is you, Rodriguez smiled. Besides, the alternative is months of running and hiding and slowly losing soldiers to skirmishes we cannot win. At least this way, we have a chance. A real chance? Maya thought about it. About the soldiers scattered across the terrain, about the ones who had died in the canyon, about the responsibility that had somehow landed on her shoulders. Okay, she said finally. Let us go talk to Command. If they approve, we will do it. One battle. All or nothing. 24 hours later, Maya returned to the surveyor station alone. Kethros was waiting. War Prime, she said formally. The Coalition has reviewed your proposal. We accept, 1 week from today at the Kresh Plains. Our full force is against yours. Winner takes the territories. Kethros nodded slowly. I am pleased. And Specialist, one question before we part. Are you afraid? Maya thought about lying, but something told her Kethros would know. Ah, yes, she admitted. Terrified. Good. Kethros stood. So am I. That is how I know this battle will be worth fighting. I will see you on the Kresh Plains, Commander Chen, used the title naturally, as if it was simply who she was. Maya left the surveyor station and found something that shocked her more than anything else in the past few days. Outside, 24 soldiers had gathered. Coalition forces, all different species, all different ranks. When they saw her, they snapped to attention. Sergeant Drath. The Vraxi who had questioned her orders in the canyon stepped forward. Specialist, he said, and his voice was rough but sincere. We heard what you did, that you accepted the challenge to protect us, that Kethros himself saluted you. He hesitated, then placed his fist over his chest in the same gesture the Scarix had used. We wanted you to know we will follow you into this battle. All of us. You saved us once. We trust you to do it again. She was the youngest on the battlefield, yet the opposition called her commander first ##. Part 4. The Gambit of Stars. Maya had not slept in 36 hours. Her eyes burned, her head ached, and her hands had a permanent tremor from too much coffee and not enough rest. But she could not stop. Not yet. The tactical map spread across 3 linked datapads showed the Kresh Plains in painful detail. 5 square kilometers of open ground, scattered rocks, a few shallow depressions. It was terrible terrain for the Coalition. No cover, no choke points, nothing to work with. Perfect ground for the Scarix and their superior numbers. You are going to make yourself sick. Captain Rodriguez set a meal bar next to her. Eat something. I need to figure this out. Maya traced possible formations on the screen. Every conventional strategy favors them. If we line up and fight, we lose. If we try to hold defensive positions, they surround us. If we split our forces, they crush us piece by piece. So we do something unconventional. Rodriguez had said this 5 times already, each time with a little less confidence. I know. But what? Maya rubbed her eyes. The canyon worked because we used their trap against them. But there is no trap here. Just open ground and an enemy with 3 times our numbers. A knock on the tent support made them both look up. Sergeant Drath ducked inside, followed by Lieutenant Cross and Corporal Hayes. Specialist Chen, Drath said formally. We have been training with the units as you ordered. The junior soldiers are adapting well to the independent squad tactics. The senior soldiers... ... double quotes. He hesitated. Maya finished. I know. They are used to following orders in formation, not making their own decisions. It is more than that, Cross said, his crystalline features catching the light. In my culture, military hierarchy is sacred. What you are asking, giving each small unit the authority to act independently, it feels wrong to many of us. Like we are abandoning structure, Maya said bluntly. That is the point. The Scarix expects structure. They expect us to fight the way military forces have fought for thousands of years. Organized formations, clear command chains, predictable movements. But what if we do not give them that? Chaos is not a strategy, Drath said, but he sounded less certain than before. Not chaos. Adaptation. Maya pulled up recordings from the canyon battle. Look at what happened here. The Scarix had superior firepower, better positions, numerical advantage. They should have won. but we did not fight the way they expected. We used terrain they thought was useless. We moved in ways their doctrine did not account for. We made 50 small decisions faster than their command structure could adapt. She looked at each of them. The Scaric's strength is their discipline. Every soldier knows exactly what to do, exactly how to respond to any situation. But that is also their weakness. They need orders. They need structure. If we take that away from them, if we force them to fight a battle that does not fit their training, they will struggle. And how do we do that? Rodriguez asked. We still need to survive long enough for confusion to matter. Maya stared at the map. An idea had been forming in her mind for the past 3 days, something so risky and absurd that she'd been afraid to voice it. But they were out of time and options. What if we do not try to survive? She said quietly. Everyone looked at her like she had lost her mind. Hear me out. Maya's hands moved across the display. Every military engagement starts the same way. 2 forces face each other across a battlefield. They probe for weaknesses. They maneuver for advantage. It is like a dance with rules both sides understand. But what if we break those rules immediately? What if we do something so unexpected that they have no protocol for responding? Like what? Hayes asked. Like attacking ourselves? The silence was thick enough to cut. Explain, Rodriguez said carefully. Maya's fingers flew across the screen. We spread our forces thin across the entire plains. Not in defensive positions, in what looks like complete disarray. When the battle starts, we do not wait for them to attack. We start firing at our own positions, creating smoke and chaos. The Scaric's will think they are catching us in the middle of a command failure. That is because we actually will be in the middle of a command failure, Drath said flatly. No, we will be creating the illusion of one. The smoke and chaos is cover. While the Scaric's are trying to figure out what is happening, our small units advance through the confusion not toward them, but toward predetermined positions that only make sense once they are all occupied. Maya drew lines on the screen. We are not forming a battle line. We are forming a web. Once everyone is in position, we have the Scaric's surrounded from the inside. They will have advanced into the center of our formation, thinking they are breaking a disorganized defense. Then we close the web. Rodriguez stared at the display. That is insane. The timing would have to be perfect. Every squad would need to know exactly where to go without communication, because the Scaric's will be jamming our signals once the battle starts. Which is why we spend the next 6 days drilling the movements. Until every soldier can do it in their sleep, Maya said. No orders needed. Each squad knows their part. They see the smoke, they move to their position, they wait for the signal. What signal? Cross asked. Maya smiled grimly. Me, standing in the center of the battlefield. When I raise my hand, the web closes. Absolutely not, Rodriguez said immediately. You will be in the most exposed position on the entire plains. The Scaric's will kill you in seconds. Not if they do not know I am important. I will be dressed like every other soldier. Just another person in the chaos. Maya met his eyes, and they will be too focused on what looks like a broken coalition force to pay attention to one random soldier standing still. This plan has 1,000 ways to fail, as Maya agreed. But every conventional plan has one guaranteed way to fail. We are outnumbered and outgunned on open ground. This way, at least we have surprise. They argued for another hour. Maya listened to every objection, considered every risk. But in the end, the mathematics were simple. Conventional warfare meant certain defeat. This insane plan meant possible victory. I will do it, Dreth said finally. If you are willing to stand in the center of that battlefield, specialist, then I am willing to follow your orders, even if they sound like madness. Count me in, Hayes added. At least it will be interesting. Cross flexed his crystalline fingers. My people value honor above all else. There is no honor in dying without trying. I will trust your plan. Rodriguez looked at all of them, then sighed. I am going to regret this. But yes, we do it your way, Chen. The Coalition Command is not going to like it, though. They have been sending increasingly urgent messages about proper defensive formations. Then do not tell them, Maya said simply. We have field autonomy for this battle. They gave you command authority, sir, and you can delegate that however you choose. If they complain afterward, she shrugged, we will either be victorious or dead. Either way, it will not matter much. The next 6 days were brutal. Maya drove the soldiers relentlessly, drilling the movements over and over. Each squad had to learn their approach angle, their final position, how to recognize the other squads around them through smoke and chaos. The younger soldiers adapted quickly. They trusted Maya and embraced the unconventional tactics. The veterans struggled, but slowly came around as they realized the alternative was following outdated doctrine to certain death. Maya worked with each unit personally, explaining not just what to do, but why it mattered. She treated every soldier, regardless of species or rank, as essential to the plan, because they were. On the third day, she received an unexpected visitor. War Prime Kethros appeared at the edge of the Coalition camp under flag of truce. As Specialist Chen, he greeted her. I hope I am not interrupting your preparations, War Prime. Maya was surprised but tried not to show it. This is unexpected. The truce does not require social visits. No, but I wanted to see something. Kethros watched the soldiers training. His eyes tracked the movements with professional interest. You are drilling independent squad tactics. Unusual choice for a conventional battle. You seem to have opinions about how I should fight you. Kethros smiled, showing teeth. I have opinions about everything. It is a character flaw. He turned to face her directly. I came to tell you something, Specialist. My officers are confident. They believe the Kresh planes favor us completely. They think this battle will be over in an hour, perhaps less. And you do not? I think you are going to do something I have not predicted. I think you are going to make me regret giving you a week to prepare. His expression became serious. But I also think this battle will be remembered, regardless of who wins. Because it is not really about territory anymore, is it? It is about two philosophies of warfare meeting on open ground. Discipline versus adaptation, Maya said. Experience versus innovation. Age versus youth. Kethros inclined his head. I respect what you have accomplished, Specialist Chen. I wanted you to know that before we try to kill each other. He left without another word. That night, Maya walked through the camp one final time. Soldiers were checking equipment, sharing meals, talking quietly. Some were afraid. Most were determined. All of them looked at her with trust she still did not feel she deserved. She was the youngest on the battlefield, yet the opposition called her commander first ##. Part 5. Commander, the Kresh plains looked different in the early morning light. Peaceful, almost. The kind of place where you might have a picnic, not a battle that would decide the fate of an entire sector. Maya stood at the Coalition staging area, watching her soldiers take their positions. They spread across the plains in what looked like complete disarray, scattered groups with no clear formation. No defensive line, no coherent strategy. To any military observer, it would look like a command failure in progress. It was perfect. All units report ready, Rodriguez said quietly. He stood next to Maya, wearing the same basic combat uniform as everyone else. No rank insignia. No command markers. Just another soldier. Chen. Last chance to change your mind. We stick to the plan. Maya checked her chronometer. Scarrick's forces should be visible in approximately 3 minutes. She was right. At exactly 0700 hours, the horizon began to shimmer with movement. The Scarrick's army advanced in perfect formation, 3 divisions moving as one, their discipline absolute. Even from a distance, they looked unstoppable. Maya raised her binoculars. There, in the center of the formation, was War Prime Kethros himself. He would want to see this battle personally to understand how humans fought. He was about to get quite an education. Signal to start, Maya said. Rodriguez raised his Comm device. All units commence operation. Execute on mark. 3.2.1. Mark. What happened next looked like complete chaos. Coalition soldiers began firing not at the Scarix, but at positions near their own units. Smoke grenades detonated across the plains. Flash charges created bright bursts of light and sound. Within 30 seconds, the entire battlefield was covered in thick gray smoke, punctuated by random weapons fire. Through her binoculars, Maya watched the Scarix formation slow. Kethros would be trying to understand what he was seeing. It looked like the coalition forces were tearing themselves apart, like command had completely broken down. She could imagine his officers reporting, "Enemy disorganized. Recommend immediate advance to capitalize on confusion." And that was exactly what the Scarix did. The 3 divisions accelerated, moving toward what looked like a catastrophic coalition failure. They maintained perfect formation even as they entered the smoke. Discipline. Always discipline. Maya counted silently. The Scarix advance took 4 minutes to reach the center of the plains. Exactly as she had calculated. Now, she whispered through the smoke, coalition units began to move. Not retreating. Not advancing toward the enemy. Moving to precise positions in a pattern that would only make sense from above a web with the Scarix at its center. Each squad knew their route by heart after 6 days of drilling. They moved through the smoke like ghosts, silent and swift. The Scarix passed right by some of them, focused on pushing toward what they thought was the coalition's broken center. Maya pulled her scarf over her face and stepped into the smoke herself. She walked calmly toward the exact center of the battlefield, trusting her soldiers to be where they needed to be. The smoke stung her eyes. The sound of weapons fire was deafening. But she kept walking, counting steps, till she reached the position marked on her mental map. Then she stood still and waited. Through gaps in the smoke, she could see Scarix soldiers rushing past. They were looking for enemies to engage, for coalition positions to overrun. They did not pay attention to one small figure standing motionless in the middle of chaos. Maya checked her chronometer. 30 seconds until the smoke would start to clear. 30 seconds until everyone would see the truth. She thought about her mother, back on Earth, who had been so proud when Maya enlisted. She thought about her training instructor who had told her she was too young, too small, too soft for military service. She thought about Commander Varath and the other officers who died in the canyon, who never got to see how this ended. 20 seconds. She thought about Kethros somewhere in the Scarix formation, probably realizing something was wrong, but not yet understanding what. 10 seconds. She thought about every soldier who had trusted her, who had followed her insane plan. Who deserved to survive this day? 5 seconds. The smoke began to thin. Maya raised, her right hand high above her head. Across the battlefield, 204 coalition soldiers saw the signal. They opened fire. The Scarix suddenly found themselves taking hits from every direction. Not from the front, not from any single position, but from a circle of small units positioned all around them. The perfect military formation that had been their strength became a trap. They were bunched together, making excellent targets. While the coalition units were spread out and mobile, Kethros's voice boomed across the Scarix command channel, loud enough that Maya could hear it through enemy Comm units. Reform. Defensive positions. Identify enemy locations. But there was no single enemy location. There were dozens of small units, each moving independently, each finding their own angles of attack. Every time the Scarix tried to return fire at one position, 3 others would hit them from different directions. It was not a battle. It was a nightmare. Maya walked forward calmly, heading toward the Scarix command position. Soldiers from both sides ran past her, too focused on the chaos to pay attention. She should have been terrified. She probably was, somewhere deep down. But right now, she had a job to do. She found Kethros exactly where she expected in the center of his formation, trying to coordinate a response to an attack that defied every tactical principle he knew. "War Prime," she called out. Kethros spun, weapon raised, then froze when he saw her. She was unarmed, standing in the middle of a battlefield like she was waiting for a bus. "Specialist Chen." Out. His voice was a mix of admiration and disbelief. "This was you." All of it. Yes, and you are losing. Maya pointed to the tactical display on his command unit. Your forces are taking fire from 47 different positions. Every time you respond to one, others attack. You cannot form a defensive line because you do not know where the front is. You cannot counterattack because your forces are already surrounded. We still outnumber you. But Kethros sounded uncertain. Numbers do not matter when you cannot use them effectively. Your soldiers need orders, War Prime. They need structure. But this battle has no structure. Just chaos and adaptation. Maya met his eyes. You can keep fighting. You will probably kill many of my soldiers before we kill all of yours. Or you can end this now and save lives on both sides. Around them the battle raged. Kethros looked at his tactical display, at the scattered positions of his forces. At the impossible situation Maya had created. You used our expectations against us, he said slowly. We saw chaos and assumed weakness, but the chaos was the weapon. My species has a saying, Maya said. If you cannot beat them with strength, confuse them with nonsense. You trained for thousands of years to fight organized militaries. We gave you disorganized chaos instead. Kethros made a sound that might have been a laugh. You are 19 years old. This should not be possible, so everyone keeps telling me. For a long moment, War Prime Kethros just looked at her. Then he raised his Comm unit.
Nice.
All Scaric's forces cease fire. Repeat, cease fire. We are withdrawing. His officers started to protest, but Kethros cut them off. The battle is lost. Not because we lack courage or strength, but because we are fighting an enemy who does not play by rules we understand. Continuing will only waste lives. He looked at Maya. The territory is yours, Specialist Chen. We will honor the agreement. Maya nodded. Thank you, War Prime, for your honor and for recognizing when to stop. Kethros signaled his forces to begin orderly withdrawal. As Scaric's soldiers pulled back, coalition units held their fire. The shooting stopped, replaced by an eerie silence. I must know something, Kethros said before he left. That moment in the smoke, when you stood in the center of the battlefield, you were completely exposed. If any of my soldiers had noticed you, they could have killed you instantly. Why take that risk? Because my soldiers needed to see the signal, Maya said simply. And because I asked them to trust my plan, the least I could do was trust that they would protect me while I stood there. And they did, and they did. Kethros placed his fist over his chest. I salute you, Commander Chen. Not specialist. Not anymore. You have earned that title in blood and genius. When I return to my homeworld, I will tell them about the human who defeated me. The youngest commander on the battlefield, who thought like no soldier I have ever faced. He left with his forces. Maintaining perfect discipline, even in retreat, Maya stood alone for a moment in the center of the battlefield. Then, soldiers started appearing through the thinning smoke coalition forces. Cheering, celebrating, alive, Rodriguez reached her first. We did it. Casualties are minimal. Maybe 20 wounded, only 3 critical. Chen, we actually won.